Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next, focused Ravens. Let's talk. In this conversation, we're going to be discussing 4 Raven players who have a stated focus. And it's not a situation where all players who are trying to make this Ravens roster aren't focused. But this 4 in particular is going to be integral in whether the Baltimore Ravens reach the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, or come up short once again. So let's get into it. Let's start with linebacker Roquan Smith. Now, Smith is known as a big-time talker. You kind of hear him speak some bravado level statement before every game. Whether he's riling up the running back or going at the quarterback, you kind of hear him chirping before all games. And that's fine, because when he was connected with Patrick Queen, that duo typically backed it up. And it's not that Patrick Queen is the component that he was missing last season. It's just that Roquan didn't play as well. And it was very, very clear. Although he still was a Pro Bowler, although he was still running that mouth, he didn't play as well last season. Whether it was in pass coverage, which he is not, elite at, or whether it was against the run, whether it was being in the right place at the right time, whether it was showing that sideline to sideline speed, whatever it was clear that Roquan was missing something. And just a couple of weeks ago, an anonymous source came out and called him lethargic, translation, slow, lazy, whatever it is. And now we see in an article that he is said to be in the best shape of his life, which is what was identified as part of his problem last season. And so I think Roquan, his focus this season, this off season, is going to be being healthy and staying in shape. But I think this season, his focus will be restoring his reputation as a high-end linebacker. Although he's rated in the top 3 of all linebackers, his play last season did not indicate that at all. So I think Roquan Smith's focus is 1, being healthy entering the season, and 2, restoring his reputation. Not at the cost of his partner or running mate who plays beside him, but just as a sense of pride. That's what I believe we're going to see from Roquan Smith this season, and that's what his focus is and should be. When we get to our second player, the second player who should have a high level of focus is Mark Andrews. And an article that just came out on BaltimoreRavens.com, stated as much, that Mark Andrews was not going to focus on a contract. He was just going to focus on ball, as he should. And I think Mark Andrews, his focus is going to be a little heightened this offseason, because I'm sure he still hears the noise of the way last season ended. I'm sure he's still taking a little bit of heat from not showing up at the press conference after that division round loss. And so I think his focus is going to be narrowed to the restoration of his reliability. I think that's going to be his focus, not restoring or reestablishing his ability. We understand he has ability, but I think his focus is going to be on establishing or reestablishing his reliability. I don't think it's going to be getting more catches. I don't think it's going to be getting more touchdowns. I don't even think it's going to be getting open. I think it's going to be recommitting to reliability. I think he'll be fine with being a Batman and Robin duo with Isaiah Likely. And I think that he'll be fine with that, because he knows that this is his last season in Baltimore unless something strange happens. He understands that in concert with being his last season in Baltimore, he is also in a contract year. And so I think that establishing or reestablishing that reliability is what's going to get him paid. Because when all things are working for Mark Andrews, he's still a top 7 or 8 tight end in this league. As we move to the next player who has a focus, I think it's going to be a combo. a combination of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I think being sort of the elder statesman on this team, and what I mean by that is elder statesman in the context of not the oldest players, but the players who have the most established careers, right? When you look at Lamar Jackson, he has all of the personal accolades. When you look at Derrick Henry, he has all of the personal accolades, but the thing that they have in common is no Super Bowl. And so I think that this upcoming season, I think that Derrick Henry is going to want to allow his running mates, that's Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, to get theirs, to be able to take some of the load off of his plate so that he can cruise into the playoffs as healthy as possible with less wear and tear on his body. And I think Lamar Jackson, his focus is going to be on relying on his network a little more. You see, because there was a couple of games last season where it was very, very clear that Lamar Jackson had a mission to prove something. You remember the Kansas City game? He came out and he was, establishing the run. Pittsburgh game, same thing. I think it was the New York Giants game, same thing. I think that there was another game where we came out in that game. Well, he came out in that game. It was very, very clear he was going to control the game, and that's fine. But I think that he has a network of players around him, including a high-end defense or the potential for a high-end defense that he can rely on. And I think that that's going to be his focus. I think that's going to be what helps them advance into the playoffs and advance also to a Super Bowl. We kind of seen that metric play out for the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. When Josh Allen took a step back and allowed his network, the pieces around him, to do their thing, his turnovers went down and his success went up. That's how he ended up in the AFC Championship. And so I think that'll be the focus for Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And there's a couple of articles that say as much. And then last but not least, I think that one of the last pieces that is going to have a focus is going to be Daniel Faalele. I think Daniel Faalele is going to be focused for two main reasons. I think one, he's going to want to be in better shape. I think that's going to be a focus. I would not be surprised to see an article come out that Faalele is down 20 or 30 pounds. And he's going to want to improve his technique. I think those two things will be focuses of Daniel Faalele's. And the reason why is that he also takes 7. And I think the reason why is that he too is in a contract year. He is, trying to prove himself so that whether the Ravens pay him or someone else pays him, that he solidifies his bag. And I think he certainly will get a payday. I think somebody's going to come and write him a check between $12 to $15 million a year, because you cannot find a 6'8", 380-pound right guard who has 19 games of experience starting, who also was credited to being a fringe Pro Bowler, and then coming into a season where, if healthy, he'll have 36 games in a regular season context as a starter. And so those are the guys who I believe are going to be focused, and I'm excited to see what is said about them as we get into on-field work. And so let me know who you guys should think have a focus. Let me know who you guys think we should be on watch for. And until next time, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.